for 27 years, fighting apartheid, and became president of New South Africa. Luther King went to jail many times fighting segregation and won the Nobel Peace Prize. Rosa Parks refused to go to the back of the bus. She wasn't just tired, Warren, she meant to fight back. Fred meant to fight back. Luther King meant to fight back, and they won. Today we celebrate their fighting back. Fred refused to go to the internment camps and languish. Today he is the winner. These giants are history's moral witnesses. Fred and the Japanese American Redress Reparations Movement set a standard compelling Asians, blacks, Latinos, our Rainbow Coalition, to take a stand against unjust racial profiling and targeting. Whether it be the targeting of Muslims and Arab Americans on the guise of fighting terrorism in this post-9/11 world, the targeting of Latinos in Arizona, the racial profiling that occurs when police pull young blacks who are driving while black. I remember meeting Fred when we honored him some years ago in Los Angeles. We did not have a very long conversation, such a soft-spoken man, but it was an honor that I shall forever cherish. His presence was arresting. I remember him as a modest man, nothing pretentious, but nothing less than a genius wearing work clothes. I sensed in Fred a quiet but unflinching courage and strength, a man who stood on principle and focused on always doing the right thing. Fred went from Topaz incarceration camp behind barbed wire and under guard by armed prison guards to being granted the Presidential Medal of Freedom by President Clinton. He indeed he represents a journey for justice, and justice in his case has prevailed. Fred was that one light that would not just be extinguished. The single spark that lit a prairie fire, shining up a bright light on injustice and even brighter light on the fight for justice. The 4 Supreme Court rulings holding discrimination against Japanese Americans solely based on their race still stand, by the way. There's this tug of war in our democracy. We're still fighting to eradicate the legacy of centuries of slavery. We won the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act, but we still have a long way to go to make America a more perfect union to fulfill what we call Dr. King democracy. It's not automatic. Structural inequalities and disparities persist in so many aspects of our lives today. From facing disparities in healthcare and employment, to being targeted and steered into subprime loans that have led to today's home foreclosure crisis, it's time in Fred's name, in Dr. King's name, to fight back. The first time since President Truman spoke and did not mention poverty in his State of Union address. The State of Union last Tuesday night, the word poverty was not mentioned. We honored Mr. Hugh from China, but behind the walls of China is a Nobel Peace Prize laureate who looked for hope in the visit, but found no allies in high places. The words poverty and peace and reconstruction and foreclosure and Iraq and Afghanistan cannot be wished away. And we are in the tradition of those who dare fight against the odds. Fred's moral leadership obligates us to emulate his sense of common courage and selflessness. There's so much to learn from Fred, so it is fitting to have schools named after him and a curriculum developed to teach our children. But students don't just admire him, follow him. To quote him and to emulate him and to read his books and his writing is not enough. We must follow his sacrifice, his courage, his selflessness, his life beyond the limits of the boundaries of race. He would inspire us to remember that human rights are non-negotiable, must be measured by one yardstick, whether in America, or China, or Japan, or South Africa. Human rights are indivisible. Some say today the human rights fight is not practical. But in the end, the human rights message prevails. Might is not right. Ultimately, right is might. We don't have a day today honoring a military general. We're not honoring today a banker. We're not honoring a billionaire. If all the lights in this room were out, and it was pitch dark, and one light of courage came on, but challenged all the dark, he is that light, that hope, that power, that joy. We never won a battle we didn't fight for. We never lose a battle that we do fight for. And that is the Gandhi tradition, the King Mandela tradition. That is the Fred Korematsu tradition. It gets dark sometime, but the morning cometh. Don't let the force of evil break your spirit. We fall down, we get back up again, because the ground is no place for a champion, and so we rise. The Lord is our light and our salvation, whom we fear none. He alone is worthy to be praised and honored. So for his courage and his sacrifice, we thank Fred. Today, the case can be made over and over again. The vanity asks the question, is it popular? We all want to be accepted in some measure and not rejected. Politics asks the question, will it win? Can it fit? Can I get reelected? And while vanity asks the question, is it popular? And politics asks the question, will it win? Morality and conscience asks the question, is it right? And ultimately, is it right will outlast the popular and the politic. Fred was in the is it right answer. He was right. And because he was right, we're here today. The nation is better and the world is more secure. Thank you very much.